Okay, well, good afternoon, everyone. Delighted to welcome you to the next in the series of the ASAP webinars. Today, we welcome Jo Redman. Many of you will know Jo, as she spent 16 years at SACO, the service department company. Last year, Jo decided the time was right to leave and spend some time on the beach, running and exploring opportunities, helping businesses in tough times through communications, engagement, and energizing. I'm so grateful to Jo, who last month agreed to join ASAP and help us with our messaging and communications and the work that we're trying to do to get the sector recognised. So over the next 30 minutes or so, there will be, Jo assures me, there will be no fluffy stuff, just practical and easy to do suggestions for lifting our energy and boosting our well-being during the lockdown. So Jo, thank you very much again, and over to you.
Lovely, thanks. Hi, and how fabulous to be here. Thank you for having me, James, in terms of both this webinar and for letting me help out with the lovely ASAP Association and all the team members, and for making me so welcome. Yeah, just to reiterate that, as you probably all know, I worked with SACO for 16 years and now an independent freelance consultant, doing all sorts of things with all sorts of businesses, but most recently helping them put wellbeing firmly and truly on the agenda, which is really, really important in this day and age. I have a huge passion for wellbeing, recently qualifying as a run leader, which enables me to help people who don't run or who can only run a little bit to run better and further, and also recently trained as a mental health first aider with Mental Health First Aid England. And I guess also a lifetime of experiences about really having to dig deep around wellbeing when you go through difficult times and so on. So yeah, this is all about well-being. Woo-woo and trainers are optional is also the title, which you'll see in a moment. In fact, let's start sharing my screen. No, before I share my screen, because this is about well-being and it's about energy, I want us all to get some energy. Now, I can't see you, but you can see me. So I'm trusting you guys. I just want you to come with me and do this and get a bit of energy into yourselves before I take over, really get into the subject for the next 30 minutes. So it's really simple. I just want you to push your chairs back and I want you to stand up and hands in the air and back down. Think of it as a Mexican wave. And we're just going to do this 5 times. That's 3, 4, 5. And how fabulous do we feel now? So we'll come on to that in a moment. I'm now going to share my screen with you. So yes, so you know a little bit more about me. Woo-woo and trainers optional. When it comes to well-being, it's incredibly personal. I like trainers. I love running, and I think quite a lot of you know that now. That works for me, but what's right for me isn't necessarily right for you. Some people prefer what I call the woo-woo end of well-being, which is perhaps the more spiritual, the more tree-hugging, the more yoga side of things, and that's absolutely fine. Everybody's got to find the sweet spot that works for them. But what I'm hoping to do today is present something that comes in the middle, so you don't have to do your woo-woo and you don't have to do trainers. Well-being, why bother? Yeah, why bother indeed? It's a bit of an overused statement in this day and age, and I'm sure quite a lot of you are like, oh, really, Jo? We've heard about well-being so much. Do you know what? It's not for us, we can't be bothered, it's too hard, it's too over-talked about. But you're all here and logged on today, so there must be some interest, and thank you very much for that. But let's just have a little think about well-being before we get into the sort of toolkit of things that you can do to look after your well-being when you're working from home in particular. So, what is well-being, first of all? Well, really simply put, it's your combined physical and mental well-being. And if you don't look after those two things, then you are seriously endangering or potentially putting yourself at risk of moving into becoming physically or mentally unwell. And nobody wants to go there.
Jo, sorry to interrupt you, Jo.
Yeah.
Can't see your screen, can't see your presentation
I thought I
screen.
had sorry.
No, don't worry.
Share screen. Apologies.
No worries. Got it.
Deep joy. Is that it now?
That's it.
Okay, apologies everybody. 2 seconds, let me just get that on full screen. Is that it now?
Perfect.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Apologies everybody. So we've covered off well-being, why bother? And then I was just coming on to what well-being is, which is your combined physical and mental well-being. And if you don't look after those, then you are in danger of falling into being physically and mentally unwell. Not a great place to go. And a few more thoughts around well-being. This is from the Mental Health Foundation. Well-being can be understood as how people feel and how they function, both on a personal and social level, and how they evaluate their lives as a whole. And then there is tons of stuff out there about how much well-being is scientifically proven to link to our happiness. And if you want to read any more around that, just Google Paul Dolan, the professor of happiness at the London School of Economics. That's his nickname. He's actually a behavioural scientist, but that's what he spends his lifetime's work and research doing, is correlating the science of being well to our levels of happiness. And then for me, Jo, I just simply call well-being doing stuff and things that make you feel at ease, contented, happier and healthier. So that's a bit about well-being. And in this day and age, you could actually argue that it's no longer optional. It's no longer something that you can just put on the back burner and think, I don't have to worry about it. It's our duty and responsibility to take care of ourselves and stay well, to live well and be safe. And, that is all about working through these quite horrific times that we're living through at the moment with this global pandemic. Nobody wants to be a burden on the NHS or become unwell and need to go into hospital or need any kind of medical support. We want to stay safe for our friends and family. We want to stay safe so we can keep working and well, and overall just take really good care of ourselves. So, and we're also all under a huge amount of stress and pressure going through this pandemic at the moment. And I don't know about you, but maybe your life feels a little bit like this at the moment. Busy, right? Very complicated, chaotic. And I don't know about you, but some mornings or afternoons or even evenings or in the middle of the night about 3 o'clock, my brain feels like that picture on the right-hand side. So again, a real sort of sense of having to focus on your well-being and look after yourself. And let's just dig into that a bit deeper. What is it like living through this pandemic and lockdown at the moment? And I know it's different for everybody, but I've taken a sort of fairly broad focus on it, particularly thinking about people like yourselves who are working from home at the moment. So we know we're in a new and potentially more new news to come. So we're living through COVID-19 and the global pandemic. Most of us, I know not all of us, but a huge amount of us were sent home to work from home really quickly and are doing it very, very successfully. But of course, it's very different to what we were used to before. We're living through hugely uncertain times and unfamiliar times, and uncertainty and unfamiliarity bring anxiety levels and stress levels right up, and can make us feel incredibly uncomfortable and not sure of what we should be doing or what we need to do. We've got new routines as a result of working from home, having to cope with things like Zoom webinars or whatever it may be, or team meetings, or conducting all sorts of things. My daughter, for example, is downstairs about 20 minutes after I finished this webinar being interviewed for a new position in the NHS and having to do that via Zoom. So new routines and new ways of working are with us for the foreseeable future. And then just as we thought we might be getting used to living in lockdown, all of a sudden we've now got the government telling us it's time to come out of lockdown gently and gradually. but with a huge amount of confusion, and we don't really know what that means. Do we go back to work? Do we stay at home? Do we go out and meet friends? Do we go on holiday? And it's all very uncertain and very ungrey. And who knows, God forbid, we may even have to go back into lockdown at some point. We've got a massive focus on health and our hygiene and staying safe. And for lots of people, again, that could be incredibly daunting and they're not quite sure where to begin. Okay, we've all learnt to wash our hands better and sing happy birthday 3 times or whatever it is. And we've learnt that we should be, not hugging people or touching people and staying 2 meters apart. But if I'm supposed to focus on my health and well-being, how am I supposed to do that? And then this one, overload of information, that's something I experienced big time. It's coming at us left, right and centre. It was, arguably something that was happening before the COVID-19, but it's happening even more now. We are just awash with information. It's coming in on social media, it's coming in from friends and family, it's coming in from TV, internet, you name it. And actually, God bless you, here I am today giving you even more information, but I hope I can just give you a few nuggets that you can take away. And then we've got something coming in called lockdown dip days. I love this, and I know exactly what it means as soon as I saw that expression, because again, many of us might be rolling along feeling like lockdown, I've got this, I'm okay, I know what I'm doing. And then you wake up one morning and you've hit an absolute rock bottom low. You've no idea why, nothing in particular has happened, but you feel just really bad on that particular day. And that's hard to cope with when you're in lockdown and isolated from other people. So you've got all those things going on which are impacting on your well-being. And just to kind of back that up, I guess, the Office for National Statistics are constantly taking the temperature out there of the UK population around this subject. I grabbed these stats earlier this week. They were for the end of March. That top stat there, 49.6% of people are reporting high anxiety, rating their anxiety levels between 6 and 10 out of a possible 10. That's over 25 million people in the UK are feeling highly anxious, which is about half the adult population. Scary, eh? And the overall anxiety levels, they were saying were around 5.18 out of 10, and they have remained elevated versus the end of last year, where anxiety levels were only around an average of 2.97. And on the same report, we've got 20.7% of people reporting low levels of happiness, rating their happiness between 0 and 4 out of 10, whereas previously it was 8.4% in December 2019. So we can see that this pandemic and this lockdown is really impacting our well-being and our mental well-being as well. So back to my question, well-being, why should we bother, Jo? In my view, it's absolutely essential and not optional. It's how we go about helping to keep ourselves safe and well. And it's also how we help ourselves to cope, and our friends and family and work colleagues in these difficult times. So without further ado, what I'm going to just go into now are some of my suggestions and hints and guides for what you can do for your well-being when you're working from home. And I've popped these into 4 focus areas. First one is movement and energy, no surprise there, you'll be pleased to hear. Connect and give, fuel, and then we've also got take notice. So 4 areas with several suggestions under each one. And no doubt, as you start hearing them, you'll think, yeah, I know that one. Or actually, even better, you may have some other suggestions that we can pop into the toolkit. And I'd love you to share those with me at some point. You can either do it today via Q&A, or you can get in touch with me or get in touch with ASAP and we can add them into the toolkit. So let's have a look at the first one, movement and energy. So first suggestion, commute to your desk. What does that mean? Well, if you didn't used to work from home, you presumably used to commute to work, right? Maybe you walked to work, maybe you cycled, maybe you ran, maybe you had a maybe you drove, maybe you had a long, complex public transport journey. Whatever it was, you were up and out and moving your body and being energetic in some kind of way. And now you might possibly be just getting out of bed, grabbing a coffee and locking yourself into your chair for 12 hours of Zoom meetings and goodness knows what else. That's not great, guys. I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it right out front. That is not good for you. So maybe think of a new way of commuting to your desk. Maybe that's a short walk outside, walking around the block a couple of times. Maybe it's a walk to the local park. Maybe it's a jog or a run if you're a runner like me. Or maybe it's some kind of other movement activity you do between getting up and going to work, and it's your commute to your desk. Stand up. We did it at the beginning of this, so I hope you did it with me. We did the Mexican wave. So when you've perhaps been on a Zoom meeting or whatever kind of tech meeting that you're using, at the end of that meeting, do that. Stand up and sit down 5 times. It just lets the energy and the oxygen flow around your body. And just on a note there, it really interestingly, I know there's been a bit of a phase or a craze for people to have stand-up desks in their offices. Now that is really odd, and they're kind of missing the point, because standing up still for long periods of time is as bad for you as sitting still for long periods of time. The cue here is movement. So moving from sitting to standing is the important thing, not doing one or the other. And then you're working at home. Nobody can see you, right? So again, in between calls or on the hour, get up from your chair and do something that works for you. It could be a press up, lunge, whatever. And I'm really serious about this, guys. Just do it, just for a minute, and do that, I don't know, do it once before you have coffee, once at lunchtime, and once when you finish work. It will make a difference. Another suggestion is just to take some nice deep breaths. That's almost going over into woo-woo territory, I know. But big deep breaths in through your nose and back out. It's very calming, and again, it just gets blood and energy flowing around your body. If all else fails, wave your arms in the air. This, just getting everything moving and operating. And again, particularly for those of us working on laptops and hunched over, it's really important to kind of get some movement into those muscles and joints. Even better, if you can get outside and get some oxygen into your lungs from outdoors for 5 minutes, fantastic. And even better now, because of course our air quality in all our cities and locations is so much better. And then one last suggestion, put on your favourite high energy song and dance. Again, nobody can see you, but dancing and music are really uplifting and can lift your mood, and again, get energy and movement into your body. And finally, on this subject of movement and energy, we all know the benefits of exercise are incredibly well documented. There is absolutely no snake oil in this. There is strong scientific evidence that physical activity can lead to a healthier and happier life, boost your self-esteem, your mood, sleep quality and energy, and relieve stress and anxiety. So you do not have to put on your trainers and come running with me. You're very welcome to if you'd like to, but any one of these things, if you just introduce it into your day, or 2 or 3 things, will make a difference. So that's the first part of the toolbox. The second part of the toolbox I've named Connect and Give. We all are human beings, and one of the ways that we operate and function is to connect with people, talk to people and be with people. And my God, we've really been tested on this in lockdown, haven't we? No hugging. Absolutely no hugging, unless you're living with the people, your immediate people you can hug, but you can't go out and hug your friends and family and people that you don't live with. But you can connect, and you need to make a real effort to do this, guys, even in your lockdown dip days. In fact, you need to do that even more, and it kind of links to the ask for help. But you need to reach out, whichever way works for you, whether that's on a Zoom call like this, whether it's WhatsApp, it's FaceTime, it's good old phone call, or perhaps even standing at the end of somebody's garden path and talking to them. Whatever, you absolutely need to connect and talk and chat to people. It is a real boost and a positive thing to do for your well-being. join a webinar. And I don't necessarily mean the mandatory work ones. Obviously, you have to do those. But one of the really fabulous things to come out of lockdown is the ton of free stuff out there. So think of a subject that you're interested in, and I guarantee that somewhere or another, somebody will be conducting a free webinar on that subject. And you can just log on and listen and absorb and learn. Again, with my passion around running, I've been joining all sorts of webinars around that. And it's just fabulous. These people give their expertise and time and insights for free. And you just listen. And if you want to take bits of it away, you can, whatever. But it's absolutely fabulous. And it's a great way to connect. Ask for help. You know, we're not very good at doing that. I'm as guilty as the next person. But if you're feeling a bit pants or rubbish, then for goodness sake, let somebody know so that they can help you through that day, whether that's checking in with you, having a chat, trying to make you laugh, whatever it is, then just give it a go. Writing a card and posting a letter, that can mean a huge amount. And I've been really lucky to actually be on the receiving end of some of that stuff. So don't just text or WhatsApp somebody and say, oh, you know, I love you, you're great, or whatever. Send them a card or a note. I've got all sorts of them here that have been arriving in the post. This one came this last week. You are 1 in a million, with a note from a friend's in the middle. And this one saying, lovely to talk to you today. Think of that. When that arrives on somebody's doorstep, that really helps to lift them. And, you know, who knows, you might get one back. Volunteering and joining in, it's all the rage at the moment, and let me tell you, again, that can really help your well-being and make you feel fabulous. I'm lucky enough to have a little bit of spare time, so I volunteer on a community hotline at the moment in late afternoons and take calls from lonely and isolated people who just want to chat or need me to pair them up with a volunteer to pick up medication or go shopping or whatever. When I come off of one of those calls, I feel like I've made a difference, and I feel like I've done something useful, and I feel really good about myself. And as a result, my well-being lifts. So if you can find somewhere to volunteer and join in, I'd highly recommend it. And that kind of links to the being kind. I'm sure you're all kind, but it's something just to think about, you know, be kind to people, and in return you receive kindness, and kindness links to well-being really, really strongly. So that's the second area, connect and give. Third area is all around fuel. Suffice to say, I'm not a qualified nutritionist or anything like that, and I'm not going to labour the point here because it's fairly obvious, but food and drink equals fuel, fuel equals energy for your body and mind. So, you know, I'm going to leave that one with you guys, really. I've said it before, it's essential that you look after your well-being, and this is a really important part of the well-being quadrant. So you do what's right for you, but invest in it and do it properly. That said, I'm a big fan of what I call the 80-20 rule. So if you're looking after yourself from a food and drinking and eating point of view really well 80% of the time, then it means the other 20% of the time you can have some treats and have all the lovely, perhaps not so healthy stuff that you enjoy, and I believe lifts your mood as well. For me, we all know my favourite tipples are dry white wine. But there are other things that I enjoy that I probably wouldn't put in the 80% bucket, but are definitely in the 20% bucket. So treats are good, but also make sure you fuel your body. And other ways that we can fuel our body are around resting and relaxing and sleeping. You know, there's tons of evidence out there about sleep being the new kind of panacea for well-being, and getting lots of sleep, is good quality sleep is the new drug. That's been something that I've struggled with a lot of my life, is sleeping well. But I know that, interestingly, going through this lockdown, despite my kind of worries and anxieties, I think I am definitely relaxing and resting more, and as a result, I am sleeping better. So if you can find ways to relax and rest and sleep better, again, you will be fueling your body and therefore fueling your well-being, both your mental and your physical health. Fuel into your body is also exercise. I've said enough about that, but I'm going to say it one more time, move. However you can, move and get your body moving. And then another way to fuel your body is to kind of just immerse yourself and lose and distract yourself in something you love. It kind of links to the relaxation and resting, but that could be around reading, it could be around watching films, it could be binging on box sets. I haven't quite mastered that yet, and even worked out my Netflix subscription, but you know, anything like that that kind of distracts you, slows you down, takes you out of lockdown to a certain extent, out of your distractions around or your worries around, you know, whether that's work or the, you know, the overall situation, something that you can lose your mind in, relax, and as a result your body is resting, and therefore you are fueling that body and protecting your well-being. And then the final area is what I've called take notice. So this is, some people might call it mindfulness, which I think can be a bit of a turn off. People find that hard to do. For me, this is about, you know, thinking about your day, how you're going to use it, and then little things that you can do during the day. So one thing is, for some people, the days seem endless. Probably not for you, lovely lot on the call today, because you're all working and I know you're all very busy, but maybe come the weekend or the bank holiday, even though you're really glad you're not working, with the lockdown restrictions, you may be at a loss for what to do. So one thing you can do is just to chunk the day up into bite-sized chunks or units of time, you know, and whether you break that down into 2-hour slots, 3-hour slots, or 4-hour slots, scribble them out on a piece of paper, and then just start putting some things in that you can do at each juncture, and suddenly the day feels far more manageable. Creating a routine. We are creatures of habit. We like a routine, and I'm sure many of you have now got your lockdown routine and your working from home routine, and maybe you've even sorted out your weekend routine and your bank holiday routine or whatever. But we do like a routine and tend to function quite well around it. However, it's quite good to break it as well. Seize the moment and do something different, lockdown restrictions permitting. So I think with great excitement now we can go out and meet a friend in the park, which to some might sound a little dodgy, but anyway, we can go out and meet a friend in the park. So it's a way of breaking your routine this weekend. Just have something visually nice in front of you to focus on, particularly when you're working from home. Something that you can look up to that's nice, inspires you, makes you smile. So for me, I've got my cards that people send me. I've got a nice stack of books here that I'm working my way through and inspire me. I've got a motivational quote, and I'm very lucky actually as well. I've got quite a nice view out of my window and can see what's going on there. But just have things around you that lift you and mean something to you. Get back to nature. I promise I'm not going woo-woo on you here, but like the lady in the picture, why not just have a plant on your desk and look after that and nurture that and focus on that? Or you might want to join the green gang and get out in the garden and sow your seeds, for want of a better description, and do that, or walk to the park, or whatever. But again, proven to lift our well-being if we're connecting with nature. Declutter and tidy is an interesting one, and a big school of thought around people not being able to function as well in messy, untidy environments. So if you feel like that's you and it's all becoming a bit overwhelming, then I would urge you to consider a bit of a declutter and a tidy up. It doesn't have to be a big project. You could just pick one area of a room, say some shelves or one cupboard, and start with that, sort that out, and you will feel like you've achieved something at the end and feel a bit more organised and sorted, which would be fantastic. And then another option is to learn something new or do more of what you love. So you might want to learn a language, or you might want to learn yoga, or you might want to get better at something you already do, like cooking. But again, all those things are very are ways of distracting you from, stress and worry and anxiety, and can soothe and calm you. And then appreciate the little things. How lovely, working from home, you can make a cup of tea or coffee exactly how you like it, rather than having to have what's provided at work. Or you can take time to prepare your lunch, or whatever it is, or not have to dress up. You can wear running kit all the time, or whatever it is, but learn to appreciate those little things. So those are the 4 areas. Just a few hints and tips for putting those in place. Eat your frog first thing. Guaranteed, like me, every morning or every day you'll have something on your to-do list you really don't want to do. Do it first thing, get it out the way, and then you can do the nicer things later on. I've given you lots of stuff to think about. Don't try and do them all. Just pick 1, 2, or 3 things to do. The next point is tell someone what you're going to do. So if there is something on there that you want to have a go at, it's great to have an accountability partner. So pick a friend or a family member or a work colleague and say, hey, I'm going to try this. And I'm telling you, because if I tell you, I'm more likely to do it. Or you might want to work as a team or with a group of friends and pick one thing and have a go at doing that. So for example, I have a group of ladies. I don't really know that well on a WhatsApp group. I just started to train them in running before lockdown. They were hugely disappointed. We had to stop week 2 of the program that I was running, but I've kept them together on a WhatsApp group, and every day they let me know what exercise they've done, and we're adding it all up. And goodness only knows, we've arrived at nearly running 50 marathons between us collectively, by each person doing a mile here or 2 miles there. But that is the accountability technique working really well, and working as a team or a group. And if you want me to be your accountability partner, I'm really happy to be that. Get in touch with me. Let me know what you want to have a go at, and we'll keep chatting and see how you get on. So just finishing up here, this is from the lovely USA President, Mr. Clinton, as was. You have to make a conscious decision to change for your own well-being and that of your family and country. So I absolutely get that some of this stuff may be hard, may be difficult, but as I said before, it's almost your right and your duty now to take your well-being seriously. So pick something off of here and try and make it a habit, and that will take time. Have a go at it, but don't just try and do it for one day. You need to do it for consecutive days or consecutive weeks and settle it into a habit. And that's it from me, really. Thank you for listening. I hope you found it energizing and useful. I hope you did the Mexican wave at the beginning. My offer to any of you on here is that if you'd like me to do this for any of your teams, within your companies, I am really happy to do that completely free of charge. I have had a PDF designed as an aid memoir, so everything is on there if you want it. I'm not sure how we get that to you, we'll work that out. And as I said, you didn't have to do woo-woo, and you didn't have to put your trainers on. That's how you can get in touch with me, at the bottom of the screen, Instagram or my email, or via ASAP or my website. But thank you very much. And if there are any questions, I think I hand back to you, James, is that right? And
fantastic, Jo. Thank you so much. I didn't put my camera on when I was jumping up and down, honestly, but I was. I hope everyone else was as well. I've got one question that's just come in, if I can fire that across to you.
Yeah.
It's just to say, and this is, can I say this is from Lauren? Well, I have anyway. So Lauren says she loves this. I purposely write things in my diary as a routine when I have done them throughout the day, so I can tick things off as I go. So
love it. Really good. Yeah, that's a nice one. Yeah, makes very satisfying ticking things off if you're a list person, definitely. I have somebody sent me, a friend sent me the big 3 things I'm going to do today. So every day I pick 3 things that I'm going to get done. And somehow I've added 6 on today, but there we are. But I've got quite a few ticks, so that's another thing that's quite good to do. So
sense of achievement. So just the question is, can we send out your presentation as part of the follow-up to this session? Are you happy for us to do that?
Absolutely, and I'll let you have the PDF, which is like the aid memoir, really, which might be even more helpful and useful for people to share with people as well. I'll get that over to Karen, I guess. Yeah,
that's fine, and we can send it out as a follow-up to this. So Jo, thank you so much for all of your help and for spending time with us this afternoon. It's really interesting.
I really enjoyed it. Thanks, everybody.